Well, hello again, do-it-yourselfers. Terry Peterman, the Internet Electrician, and welcome again to beautiful Costa Rica. I am here doing another video. I'm just going to do a little project today, changing out a couple of slide dimmers down in the big house that have given up on me. So we'll do that little project, and but as I promised from the last video, I would give you a little bit of a tour of the other house and show you what else I bought at PriceSmart / Costco down here. So let's take a little walk from the casita that I showed you in the last video, and I'm going to go down the hill to where the main house is. And then I'll just take you around backwards. So I've got a little path going down to the bottom of this particular lot, and then you can see the house back there in the background. So we'll start this video again when I get down there. All right, so here I am at the back end of the house, and I'll just take you around front to the carport area and show you the gazebo we purchased at that PriceSmart. Okay, so now I'm up here on the patio that's above the carport. You can see the pool in the background there, and here's what we purchased at PriceSmart / Costco here. Assembled it with the help of my buddy Terry. And I also bought that little picnic table for out here in the deck. Things don't last very long, and we had a nice picnic table set here that finally gave up the ghost. The sun just kind of eats it up, and the fake wicker plastic is falling off of it. So we replaced that. So this is what we put up here. One of the projects I've been doing while down here. And then I'll take you inside the house and I'll show you little tour of the house, but first we'll do that project, and then if you want to stick around till the end of the video, I'll just give you a little tour of the house if you're interested. So let's go in and show you where those dimmer switches are that I need to work on. A little bright out, late afternoon here, but there's my pool with an infinity edge. Looking out over the edge. Get lots of monkeys in these trees here around here, especially this time of year when the flowers start coming out. So these trees will be full of monkeys soon, the howlers. And we're just going in the house through the patio door. Get some lights on in here. Okay, so like I say, I'll give you a little tour of the house, but right now we've got a dimmer switch in this bedroom here that I brought down. I put puck lights in all throughout the house, LED puck lights, and brought down rated dimmers for these. But as you can see here, this one just simply it's a three-way dimmer, and it'll only turn the light on or off, but it will not dim at all. So let's take that apart and replace it. And then we've got another one that's flickering, so we'll replace it too. So let's get started with the project. Okay, so enough of that. Getting back to the project at hand here today. Just to reiterate, we've got a three-way switch network, a three-way slide dimmer at the doorway, and a three-way switch here above the bed, so that if you go to bed and you forgot to shut out the lights, you can turn them off and turn them back on in the morning when you're ready to get up. Here's our fan control in this bedroom. And like I said, the three-way slide dimmer is over at the door. So now at the entrance, this is the other three-way switch with the slide dimmer. Turn the lights off or back on. But here's the slide, and as you can see, it's having no effect whatsoever on the dimming of the panel lights here, the LED panel lights. So first things first, let's go down to the bodega where the panel is, the main service entrance panel, and shut off the breaker for this circuit. So here I am down in the bodega, which is the mechanical room. I've got my demand hot water heater behind me here, gas heater. My panel, 200 amp service entrance, all actually labeled here. One thing you won't find in Costa Rica. And another thing you usually won't find is the panel cover that's actually on the panel, because the panels are quite often recessed into a cinder block wall, and to add a circuit they just simply smash out a hole and run the wires in through the wall. Lots of times you'll see them just single conductors running down the concrete wall. If you're lucky, they'll have some kind of tape to hold them together, but most of the times no. And then they just leave the panel cover off and run the wires in either through the outside of the door, or they'll bust a hole and get into the panel. But surface mounted panel here, all done to North American standards, Canadian Electrical Code and the National Electrical Code. So you'll notice I've got all the combination GFI arc fault breakers where required, and all the arc fault on the circuits that don't require GFI. And labeled, as I said. So we're just going to have a look here, find out the lighting, bedroom, and bath number 3. So that should be our breaker. We'll shut that off and go do our job. So when I brought all the LED panel lights down from Canada in my suitcase, 52 or 54 of them, I brought all the slide dimmers as well. These were purchased at Costco back in Alberta, Canada. Fight Electric, these are a slide dimmer ideal for LED lighting. So fortunately I bought about 4 extras than I needed, because we think this is number 3 that I've had to replace so far. So maybe a little quality issue, I don't know. Could be. We get a lot of power dips here too, but I do have, if you noticed on the panel, I've got a Cutler Hammer surge protector that should help. But nonetheless, we have had a few issues with slide dimmers. We did have a lightning strike one time on a palm tree right out on the patio. That was interesting as well. I'll talk about that when we do our walkthrough if you stick around till the end. Anyhow, here's that dimmer I got to replace. These plates are just a snap-on plate. So you got to get to the corner and just pop that off. There's a little slot to stick a screwdriver in. Pop the outside cover plate off, and I'm going to go get my drill to remove the device screws here and take off this dimmer. Much easier using a drill driver. Any geckos? Lots of times you'll remove a box, find a little lizard stuck in there, but not today. I'm just going to take air conditioning control off. 3 wires. So we have our common, our 2 travelers, and our ground. You can see the neutral tucked away in the back there. There's a close-up. You can see the ground splice. You can see the 2 neutrals spliced back in there. So it looks like I got a power in here, 2-wire Romex or Lumex cable coming in, and a 3-wire going over to the other dimmer, and then a 2-wire goes up to the puck lights or the panel lights. There's, interestingly enough, another thing you won't find in Costa Rica is Romex or Lumex. Everything's done with pipe. Generally, you might find in the cities now that they use Romex more often, or Lumex. However, this house is constructed with SIP panels. So these are magnesium oxide board and 4 inches of styrofoam sandwiched between those 2 magnesium oxide boards. So we have insulation in this house, and the wires then can just run through the styrofoam walls and through the bottom. It's a wood frame underneath, so it's wood trusses. All my wiring goes underneath the house, so if there's anything that ever goes wrong, simply pull it out, pull in a new cable. So quite easy to get done, and it's wiring just like you'll find in North America. So I always like to disconnect things by first unhooking the hot wire. Not that it matters because my circuit breaker's off, but it's just a good habit to get into. Hot first when you're disconnecting. Disconnect the hot first, neutrals and travelers, etc. second, and that leaves your ground attached last. And the reason for that is, look at here, if I had this in my hand, the ground wire will ground these metal parts on this slide dimmer. And so what if I had the wrong breaker? So I accidentally touched that hot wire onto that grounded metal plate. It's still going to take that current to ground, and especially with an arc fault breaker, it's just going to instantly trip and should keep you safe that way. And if it was ground fault, it would keep you from getting a shock by the current going through your body, because it would immediately recognize something's wrong. We don't have the equal amount of current on the hot and neutral, and it would trip. Arc fault would trip if you just started sparking against the ground here, arcing it, it'll trip immediately as well, noticing that as an arc fault. Okay, so we've got the old dimmer removed. Now you have to take the plate off of the switch device itself, the backing plate for the finish plate. All right, with the new switch, reverse that order now, hooking things up, ground first. So you see I want to line those ends up perfectly here with the twisted pair of grounds that are together now. Give that stranded wire a little twist. Line the ends up evenly and then gently spin that moret on. And you'll feel it bite. You know you've got all 3 conductors tightly under that wire nut. Give it a pull. Make sure it's not going to come apart. Travelers, no particular order here. Again, line those ends up so that they're even. Get my hand out of the way if I can. There you go. Tug test. Make sure that wire is not coming out of there. The other traveler. Incidentally, that one had a little tag on it saying, leave this one capped off if you're using this slide dimmer as a single pole switch. Okay, there again, you see the wires lined up perfectly at the end. Spin that wire nut on. And if you feel one or the other conductor start to pull away going into the wire nut, you don't have a good splice going. What that's doing is sucking one wire up into the tight part of the coil and the other one's getting pushed out. So again, pull hard. That's good and solid connection, you know it's together. And finishing up with the hot wire going to the common wire. Again, lining them up. Spinning on that wire nut. Tug test. It's in there good. Now I got to tuck all these wires back into the box. The large body of a slide dimmer like that, you got to make sure you leave plenty of room for the body of that dimmer to fit inside the box and not be pinched. But these are nice deep boxes. They are called old work boxes because with this MGO board, of course, there's no studs inside the wall. The strength is the structurally insulated panel, thus the name and SIP. So you don't need wooden studs in the wall. You have them at the ends where each panel joins with each other. You cut in a piece of 2x4 so that you've got something to screw to. You set it back a little bit into the MGO board. And then basically the walls are glued together, but you throw a couple screws in just to hold them till the glue dries. So we'll tuck those travelers in. Again, find a spot for your moret to fit in where you're going to leave lots of room for the body of this dimmer switch. So this one's going to go right up kind of in the top, this one in the bottom, and the common off to the side there. Test fit it, make sure you got room for the body of the switch without putting undue pressure on anything. And it does fit nice and flush without having to push. Enlist the services of the drill again. Just start one, start the other, and now you can tighten them down at low speed. Don't want to over tighten them, but you don't want it to slide around either. So once you've got it tight enough that it won't slide, put your switch backer plate on. Each one of these slide dimmers comes with a new plate, so I thought I might as well freshen up the look. Make sure got a nice new plate on there. These holes are beveled for these plate screws, so you can see I had that upside down at first there. Nice standard slot screws, making it ever so difficult to get them started. Make sure your plate then fits nice and tight to the wall. Now, you've seen my other videos where I always insist you line up the plate screws. Of course, it doesn't matter here because you've got a cover plate that snaps over that, making lining up those screws for aesthetic reasons somewhat redundant and unnecessary. All right, I'm gonna go turn the power on and make sure we've got a fix here. All right, so with the power back on and the welcome breeze from the ceiling fan back on here, it's about 35 degrees here today, Celsius, so 90-ish Fahrenheit. Turn on, slide dimmer's way down, so I'm just gonna slowly bring it up Make sure that the dimming control is smooth right through the entire range. And it is. And make sure it shuts the light off, and go to the other switch and make sure it turns it back on. One thing about having a three-way dimmer is if you have this slide dimmer all the way off, then neither switch is going to function here. So that's one thing to always watch for. Make sure that dimmer is left in somewhere at least mid-range or above. Otherwise, if you lower it down to, say, there, and you shut off the other one, it won't come back on. You got to just bump that dimmer up a little bit. All right, so as promised, I'm going to tell you a little story about a lightning strike we had here. This was last spring, I guess, early summer. And I got a call from my gardener here that said, he said the GFI blew on the pool pump. So the pool pump was no longer functioning because the ground fault protection for it was gone. So I talked him through replacing that GFI that feeds on the load side down to the pool pump so that we have GFI protection on that. Got that all going, and then a few other things. He said also your light in your gazebo isn't working. So I thought, okay, that's good, I guess. I'll have to fix that when I get down there. And then the other thing was a palm tree. He said we transferred three of these palm trees, these royal palms, last visit I was here. I can show you one, and here's one on the other side of the deck area here. So we transferred three of them, one on each side at the front of this deck, and then one was right behind me here to give us some protection, more protection from the sun from the west. So all these stories didn't really seem to come together for me until I got down here. When I got down here, then I also noticed there was like 4 panel lights, of those LED panel lights that are all throughout the house. There was at least 4 of those gone as well. So I had some spares, replaced all those, and then when I got to checking out the gazebo here, I looked in. It was on a different gazebo now. I explained that we got this new one now, but as you can see here, I've got a little box out here, weatherproof box, and it's got 2 plug-ins and a switch for the light in here. So Randy explained to me that the light was gone as well. And so I opened up that box and I looked inside and I thought, what happened to this box? I thought maybe I got a little sloppy, and when I put the devices back in, maybe I pinched a hot wire and it eventually exploded against the ground and blew a hole. But anyway, when I opened that up, I had the ground screw screwed into the, I had replaced it with a metal screw, so it was screwed right into the gazebo for the ground. And that had a big hole blown in it, so the ground was blown off, the neutrals were blown apart. Amazingly, the hot wire to the light was still good, so I had an open neutral, which I've explained in other videos. So I had an open neutral at the light, and investigating all that and all that damage in there, I thought, okay, that couldn't have happened by a hot wire shorting out, because for one thing, the hot wire was still together. So putting 2 and 2 together, and then the other thing was, Randy said somebody tried to light your gazebo on fire because it just had some shade cloth over that gazebo, which is just basically like what you see behind me on this gazebo, or pergola, I guess. It was all burnt in that corner. There's a big hole burnt in it up on the corner by the metal structure, and burnt down by where this switch box was. So put 2 and 2 together when I came down here. That's right on this side of where that palm tree was, and that palm tree died as well. So what happened is the lightning struck that palm tree, flashed across to this metal structure of the gazebo, which was grounded. Otherwise it's all wood here, so the only ground that was available was the ground that on my 12-2 Romex cable going down to the panel. So the lightning found its way across there, flashed through the structure of that metal pergola, blew apart the wires, and at the same time took out 4 LED panel lights and the GFI for the pool. So the power of lightning, pretty frightening stuff. I'm glad I wasn't here when that hit and exploded that palm tree and did all that other damage. Anyway, that's the story of the lightning strike. Alright, so thanks for watching this short little video on replacing a slide dimmer 3-way switch. Now if you've stuck around this far and if you want to have a little tour of the casa, then hang on, I'll just take you on a quick tour of it. So again, we're in Patio, Guanacaste, near Santa Cruz in Costa Rica, of course. So coming to the front door of the house, alright, so inside the front door, as you can see, we got a little island there. I'll give you a little upper view of it with 5 chairs around it. Fully equipped kitchen we'll get into in a minute. And then in the living room here, there's a patio door, double patio door that opens out onto the deck with the pool just outside the door. And we've got a full 60-inch LED TV. Kitchen is fully equipped with stainless steel appliances, dishwasher, over-the-range microwave, all the comforts of home. Another thing you generally don't find here in Costa Rica. You usually, in a rental home, you get just the basics. We try to equip it with everything we've got for the rental part of things, and so we've got blenders. The fridge has got a water maker and an ice maker in it. And what else can I show you? Like I mentioned, dishwasher. The casa here, I designed it myself, 3-bed, 3-bath, so every bedroom has its own bathroom. And I kind of designed it with this flow-through style here. You can see a window up in the peak, up in that far end. Peak to peak, there's vented windows going from one end to the other. So the main area of the house doesn't have air conditioning, but what I like to do is just open up the patio door in the bedroom during the day, maybe in all 3 bedrooms, and the patio door with the screens all shut onto the deck. And you get a nice breeze through. The warm air, of course, rises and goes right out through those vented windows up in the peak area. However, each bedroom is air conditioned with their own mini splits, so comfort of sleeping at night with the bedrooms. This is bedroom air conditioning, I should say. This is what we call the 3rd bathroom, which is a common area bathroom. Just a little sink here and little shower, stand-in shower. We've got those in every bathroom. So this particular bathroom, though, that door behind me opens up onto the deck. So if you're in the pool and you need to go to the washroom, you can come in this way to the washroom. Come in this door from the main area into the washroom for guests. But at night, for this 3rd bedroom that's by the pool, then you can simply lock off this door behind me there, and now you've got your own lock-off ensuite for that bedroom. So that's bedroom number 3, as we call it, down the hall here. This would be bedroom number 2, and this is looking out to the west towards the Pacific Ocean, with that patio door opening onto its own little deck, a deck that's shared with the master bedroom. Just a nice little breakfast sitting deck. Closet, queen size beds in every bedroom. And going into the washroom, another shower, walk-in shower, the glass block wall, and then of course toilet and sink. So that would be bedroom number 2. And then coming across, we're going over to the master. That's the hallway looking out to my tools all stored in the living room for now because I'm working on things. Master bedroom, pretty much the same as bedroom 2. That patio door opens out onto the deck. Queen size bed, window on each side, mini split air conditioner in here as well. And this master bedroom features a lock-off water closet there. So your bathroom is separate here, or your toilet is separate with a door you can close off. Double sinks in the master bedroom. So you got 2 sinks, his and her, and then that shower again. Nice big walk-in shower. So I think I showed you pretty much everything from outside the house. And I'll just go out on this little back deck here in the back of bedroom 2 and master bedroom and the bedroom number 2. And then if you look back up that hill, you may or may not be able to see the casita. You can see my new septic system, septic tanks that are ready to be dug in for that lot, for whoever buys that and builds a home on it, or if I keep it and build a home on it to go along with the little casita you saw in the last video. So there you have it. Thanks again for watching. Terry Peterman, the Internet Electrician, coming to you from Costa Rica.